All right, yo. Time for the political perspective.
Yes.
Uh, Reggie, go ahead and introduce it, man. Just go ahead, just introduce it.
All right. This
A
is the
lot to get
political
to.
perspective. I am Reggie, aka Speed and Bullet. This is B3 explanation points. Always remember, if you are not political, you do not have a perspective. And how could you not be political in this climate that we are living in
You
right
forced to be, right?
you are. I mean, you're forced to be, even if you don't want to. You are. I wanted to mention something to you real quick, B. I put you on my other YouTube channel. So
Okay.
I put a link to your Instagram on there. I
Oh,
mean,
thanks.
I feel like you're obviously a big part of what we do over here at TBD, but also I mean you're a big part of what I do over there on my channel too. So I just wanted to let you know that I put you on there also in case you get
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
some,
sir. I appreciate
some
it.
love on that end. So many things. I'll get with Trump and his 15 minutes of ridiculousness last. But
Gettysburg Address.
Gettysburg, yes,
Gettysburg.
a fact checker's dream
Yeah. Yeah.
is what that is. But some things that has happened this past week with Trump is there has been some new Epstein photos released.
I did
Now
see those.
we see that the Epstein files is just very slow. It's still slow grinding. These particular pictures, and there were some very weird pictures in there. But there were pictures that really confirms Trump's relationship with Epstein. And I think that at this point, I don't want to say that the Democrats are just trolling Trump, but at this point, there's so much evidence that Trump was a friend of Epstein, not just like
Yeah.
an associate or somebody he just had no dealings with. And these pictures are just more evidence, but these pictures are not a part of the Epstein file. So I want people to kind of realize that these pictures and the first batch of emails were from the Epstein estate. So Epstein, who was ultra wealthy, when he committed suicide, that he had an estate and that's handling his kind of finances,
Hmm.
especially with unfortunately um, any woman that's been that was in his orbit and may have been molested. Any of those kids that are now adults are able to sue and get money from his estate. So so the estate is actually very cooperative in kind of giving information about Epstein. So they gave a lot of this information. We think of the birthday card that Trump signed for Epstein, that came from the Epstein's estate also. So just more information, but it just lets you know that, well, just reminds you of how little the Epstein files is being released. It's still
Yeah.
it's been a couple of weeks. I think it's been 3 weeks since it passed and was signed into law by Trump to release these files, but they still haven't been released. My question is, how much of it has been scrubbed? If you give somebody 30 days to cherry pick, and there's no real way to know if everything is gonna be released. Now I know some of the politicians that are involved are like, we're gonna make sure that if there's any funny business going on, that they're gonna find it. But if these people, I mean, you have the power of the federal government. They can make people disappear. I'm sure they can make files disappear, so it won't be an issue. But we'll see when these things get released. What will the backlash be? There's already been some backlash with Larry Summers. I think he was the president of Harvard, and he's since resigned his position as the faculty
Hmm.
member. So we'll see where this Epstein web ends up landing once we get the full files. The next thing I have is the United States seized the oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, which
Hmm.
I think is very interesting because the United States is really going hard at Venezuela. And,
Yes.
we all know about the boat strikes. We all know about, these military strikes on, really these civilian boats the size of
Yeah.
that you would use during water skiing and blowing these folks out of the ocean. But now the military has commandeered an oil tanker, and these oil tankers are supposedly sanctioned oil tankers. And I did some research on it. And when an oil tanker is sanctioned, it means that this tanker is not supposed to be used to transport oil to certain parts of the country. Most notably places like Russia or Iran, or anything that has to do with any kind of like terrorist group, like Hamas or Hezbollah. And these sanctions have been on Venezuela for since 2022, since the Biden administration. And so it does appear that the United States did have some reasons behind this, that it wasn't this. Well, I won't say it wasn't just totally political, but other tankers have been seized in the past. However, with everything that's happening, within our dealings with Venezuela and our ramping up of our Navy and military and close to Venezuela, this is just another kind of another really antagonistic move towards Venezuela. So
yes,
Venezuela has responded that they're going to have their Navy escort tankers, to their destination. So I mean, you can imagine if there ends up being some conflict on seas, we could easily be in war with Venezuela. Easy. So I would say stay tuned, for that. Especially anybody that has anyone that's in the service, in the military, especially the Navy, anybody that's stationed anywhere close to there, that these are real world decisions that the administration is making, and no one wants to see the United States go to war. I mean, and although we are the biggest and baddest military that has ever been, but that doesn't mean that we are immune from casualties and immune from from our soldiers being taken out. So we should make sure that we stay tuned to what's happening over there in Venezuela.
For sure.
Next thing I had was Trump got rid of, and I'm bringing this story up because it kind of shows the power of money and lobbying, right? So a lobbyist is someone that is paid by a particular company, a particular organization, or just or a combination of organizations. So say something like health insurance companies, right? A lobbyist will talk to and lobby politicians to be able to change laws to favor their cause, and a lot of it is involved with money, campaign contributions, and donations, and things of that nature. So a lot of the decisions that's made within the country is not really made for the benefit of the people. Is made for the benefit of these corporations and these lobbyist firms. So during the Biden administration, the Biden administration created this tax filing kind of experiment where you could file your taxes directly to the IRS, and you would not have to go through a middle like liaison like TurboTax or H&R Block or any of these tax softwares that you could actually go directly to the IRS and file your taxes. Some of the benefits of that is you don't have to pay filing fees. You don't have to, pay money for this, for this third party to produce your tax returns, especially if you're a normal person that doesn't, have business expenses,
right.
You're just filing regular taxes. It's very easy to just put the numbers in and boom, right? But the Trump administration has gotten rid of that. And there were lobbyists from the major kind of tax, software places like TurboTax and H&R Block. And those folks lobby for this to be taken away. So now you no longer have the ability to file your taxes directly with the IRS, with the federal government. You have to go back to using one of these
third party.
Right. So I mean, essentially, it is creating a fee where you could have possibly avoided that fee if you wanted to. But now you have to pay that $39.99 or however much it costs just to file your taxes when you're only putting in just basic numbers. I mean, but it just shows you the power of these lobbyists and how a lot of what we do, and what you said months ago, it echoes in my head all the time, that it ends up always being about the money.
Yeah.
And it's never about the money for the people. It's about these corporations really being able to like legally like bribe our politicians to be able to do the things that they want them to do. You know, so if anybody did utilize that program that they could file directly with the IRS, you no longer can do that. Unfortunately, you'll have to pay the fees that come with that.
Right.
Trump has restricted certain foods that you can buy with SNAP. Now,
I did see this.
why do they got keep fucking with the SNAP people? Like, I mean, come on. I mean, dude, what's crazy is we all know that in order to qualify for SNAP, you have to be poor, right? There's nobody making $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 being able to get any SNAP benefits at all. Like, so to just keep fucking with the SNAP people, threatening not to release funds to them. Now it's restrictions on things they can't buy. Like they can't buy soda, they can't buy candy, they can't buy energy drinks, and it's like y'all don't want people to have nothing fun. Like y'all gotta just eat grain. Like we just gotta send y'all bags
bare
of
minimum
cornflakes and shit like that because y'all struggling and can't even get a soda, you know, for a kid because they're changing some of these restrictions, which is interesting because we've always kind of in our mind known that there's been restrictions, you know, hot food or whatever.
Can't get hot,
right. And now that I think about it, it's like, can it be like why is it a restriction on it anyway? Like food is food. Like food is food. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I never understood it. Why was hot food the cutoff before? Now, aside from what's happening now, but why was hot food like you can't? Because like you said, food is food.
Yeah, food is food, and I guess to say you couldn't even give the excuse that it is being prepared, right? Because you can get yourself a cold sandwich, right? Cold, you know, it's being prepared. Somebody's making it. So I just think that even back then,
you get steamed crabs.
Yeah, but I think even back then there was just this, you know, there's always been this stigma of people on welfare, on, you know, what we call SNAP benefits now, and I just think that even back then it was the same thing. Like,
and they definitely still perpetuating that stigma of the SNAP recipient. I saw something earlier today in regards to what you're saying about the restriction of certain foods on SNAP. And who do you think they got on TV to talk about that?
Yeah, crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Long down to the bonnet and long eyelashes. I thought it was a spoof, but it's like this is what they do. The power of media. They find somebody and then have them. They put us to it, and then have the country thinking this is all that's on SNAP, and this is why it's okay to get rid of this thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Continue
on. So last thing I have just on my bulleted points is the $12 billion aid to the soybean farmers in the United States. That, you know, there were questions about whether or not this was going to whether or not Trump was actually going to bail these farmers out. So the aid package has been submitted. So these farmers will be receiving some aid. What's interesting is this, right? In April, Trump started a trade war with pretty much the entire world, right? It was pretty much the entire world. Trump started a trade war, right? So as a result, these countries stopped buying our shit. More importantly, they stopped buying our soy. And a direct result of Trump and his tariffs and his trade war was that these farmers have suffered. These farmers have lost their farms, or they can't sell their product to the point of having to put $12 billion back into their infrastructure. Is absolutely crazy, and it's a direct result of the trade war that Trump has had with the world. You know, so when Trump talks about the tariffs and talks about you know, how great he thinks that the country is, when you look at a group, and they're probably not the only group, but you look at a group of farmers that can no longer sell their product because of tariffs, you have to question whether or not tariffs are something that it helps the country or hurts the country. And if the farmers have to be bailed out, I'm going to say that that it's hurting the country. These trade wars that Trump has had with with pretty much the entire world.
Yeah.
But it also highlights another topic that I want to jump into is the ACA subsidies. So
Oh,
we can bail these farmers out, but when it comes to people and their health insurance, that's a line that these Republicans don't want to cross. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, whether
yeah.
or not this was actually going to happen, whether or not the Republicans would come up with
Honor
something
their word. Yeah.
or even bring it to a vote. The Republicans have not even brought it to a vote. And the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, sent the House members home for the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and said that if there is going to be a vote, it will be after January 1st, which
Right.
the subsidies they expire January 1st.
They expire, right.
Right, but the open enrollment for the ACA ended a couple of days ago. So I think ultimately people are just going to opt out of health insurance.
Yeah.
And as cynical as it sounds, I believe that's what the Republicans and these folks actually want. They want people to die. There's no other explanation. And if we can bail out the farmers, why we can't bail out the American people whose health insurance premiums are about to skyrocket. And I don't think and when they talk about like having to pay 2 and 3 times what you pay now, people are not going to do it.
Yeah,
they're
going to do it.
They're going to make what we say in the sports world. They're going to make a business decision, right?
Yeah.
Can I put food on my table? Can I provide for my family, or will I just chance not having health insurance and I won't go to the doctors? If something happens and it's an emergency, I'll go to the emergency department. They're going to send me a big ass bill that I'm not going to be able to pay. But I'm just going to chance it out. I'm just going to chance it because I can't afford to pay an exorbitant amount. But the result of that is now people aren't going to their primary care. People aren't getting checkups. People aren't getting a lot of the preventive healthcare screenings that they would normally get. So now, instead of someone catching cancer at stage 1, now they're catching cancer at stage 4. Where it's fully developed and there's no hope for you to be able to survive. It's horrible. The message from the Republicans is horrible to continue to blame Obama and Obamacare, which I think Obamacare was finalized in I think 2014. So we're talking about years and years and years of having this process in place. And if you think you got a better one, I mean, Trump had the House and the Senate during his first term. He has the House and the Senate now. If you have a plan that is better than Obamacare, you should bring it forward. But I suspect this is what I suspect. I suspect that there is no better plan.
Of course not.
Yeah. And if you have all of these, what I would consider smart people that are in the business world, people putting their brains together from both parties, I don't think that there is a solution. I do think that the only solution is universal health care.
Yeah,
I think that's the only solution, and it's too much money wrapped into it that nobody is going to actually propose that as a solution. But I think that's the only solution. I think other than that, it's kicking the can down the road. And Republicans can say however they want to say about it being Obama's care fault, whatever. They've had opportunity to fix it. They have an opportunity now to fix it. They got the White House, they got the House, they got the Senate.
I don't view anything that happens from a standpoint of something good is going to happen for the people. Like, I've accepted that everything that's happening is just to benefit Trump and billionaires. And I think that he convinced people that he cares about them. I know Dave Chappelle joked about this during the first term, but it's being really illuminated during this term for me, how everything is really just about people, not people, himself and the billionaires and the people who give him money and the people who did him solids that he owe a solid to. Nothing is really going to benefit the people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not why he's there. It's all about. I cynically, I feel like he got rid of the ACA subsidies to try to figure out where to put that money for his people. It's
Yeah.
not going to be used somewhere else where it could benefit the people. It's going to be put in a spot that's going to benefit other rich people like himself.
Yeah. And even his during his speech that we're going to talk about in a second,
Oh my God!
he
Yes.
he mentioned sending sending money to people to be able to cover some of the expenses of the higher healthcare premiums. I mean, I thought to myself, if you're going to send people money, why wouldn't you just extend the subsidies? Isn't it the same? I mean, wouldn't people be spending that money on their health insurance? Like, I mean, it
So,
doesn't even make any sense. And what that means to me is that it ain't never gonna happen. Nah, I mean, it's right up there
and
with
if
my
it
check, my tariff check, and now my health insurance check. It ain't gonna happen.
and
Nah, I
if it
mean,
is, it's going to be significantly less than what it would cost to just do the thing that people need done. It's going to be a little bit here to make it seem like I did something for you, but really, I didn't do shit for you.
yeah, nah, absolutely, absolutely. So
Uh,
we could not. Oh, go ahead, babe.
no, no, no. Go ahead, because what I was about to say is going to come up in here.
Yeah, so I wanted to say we could dive into a little bit of Trump's speech last night. Which was the prime time address to the nation. What's interesting is, and I didn't know this, is that the president, although he's the president, he had to ask these networks how much time he could be on screen.
Mm,
That he does not have the ability to force these private enterprises to put him on the
to
screen.
put them on screen, right?
He could, in some ways, force some of the kind of legacy media like ABC, CBS, but nobody watches
Yeah.
it, right? So to get on places like Fox News and CNN, like he had to actually ask them how much time that they can give them, and they gave him 15 minutes, but he went over that. I think it
Yeah.
was about
It
18
was
minutes.
20. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Trump's speech really contained a lot of like inaccurate and just totally just like misleading
But
information.
before we get to the speech, knowing that he was going to have a speech, I think I sit in the group chat. I said something like, "Let's see what he about to say." Or I, mean, I did probably use not a nice word to call a person. But you already know going into the speech, he can't really focus. It's going to be
Off the
off the
rail.
rails at some point. I was shocked at how soon it went off the rails. Like sentence one, 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, already insane. So I was very surprised by that, and it just let you know that it was nothing good going to come from that speech from that moment forth.
Yeah, nah,
But
absolutely. I mean, and when you start your address as president, you're blaming the previous president a full year into your term to kind
right,
of in some ways try to justify what your performance is right now and to justify what people feel about you and your performance. To just blame the other guy. But blaming the other guy can only go but so far. It's been a year, and Trump famously said that he was going to fix the problem and fix it immediately. Um,
mhm,
and and contrary to what has been reported, the country was not on fire a year ago.
it
I
was
mean,
not right.
the country was not. Now, if you would said maybe 2 years ago when inflation was 9%, I mean, you could say, well, shit is looking bad. But when Trump got into office, inflation was at 3%, which is a normal number for inflation. And
Mhm.
today, inflation is at 3%. So there isn't a big difference in what happened a year ago versus what happened today. But Trump, like I said, had a whole bunch of claims that could not be substantiated. A lot of it was just words. But even Trump said that cars are cheaper and plane tickets are cheaper, but there's no statistics to verify this. This is just words that are coming, out of Trump's mouth. But there are a lot of things that are kind of verifiable, which Trump never shies away from a lie. Like I just think it's unbelievable. Like he never shies away from a lie. One claim that he made was that wages are rising faster than inflation for the first time in years. But what that means is that year over year wages, there's a scale. So what inflation is the amount of time that prices go up. So when people talk about inflation, it's not just an arbitrary number. It's saying that you have prices that are here. When inflation gets higher, that means that those prices go up. So a way of kind of judging the economy is, are wages going up as inflation goes up? And Trump says that it has never been rising faster. But his own Department of Labor and Statistics, this is a federal department, says that since June of 2023, year over year wages have been rising faster than inflation. So like the fact that, like I said, he never misses a opportunity to just throw lies out there, and his people just eat it up. We already talked about inflation. One of the things that Trump mentioned was inflation was the worst that has ever been in history. Obviously, we know that that's not even true. I think in the 80s, inflation was somewhere in like the 20%.
Yeah.
And Biden's high was in the 9%. But we all know that a part of that had to do with COVID. I mean, we all lived it. I know Republicans and Trump try to act like COVID didn't exist or COVID didn't contribute to the world being what it was. But a year later, inflation is still exactly where it was at 1 year ago. I think one of his biggest claims that he made was about gasoline. And he said gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon, and in some states it's $1.99. Not even close to true or accurate. The national average for gasoline is $2.90 a gallon as of this week. The lowest statewide average for gasoline is $2.34. Now, what Trump did kind of notice is, so the way they get gas prices, AAA normally produces the average gas prices for the country. So out of 150,000 gas retailers, there were 100 that that reported their gas prices being below $2 at $1.99. So that is where Trump will try to spin his information. 100 out of 150,000 is not even 1%. It doesn't do anything to do with the overall average of gas. So the real numbers for gas is that from last year this time to now, gas has fallen 6 cents in a year. I don't think anybody, when they go to their pump, is like, I got this savings of 6 cents. Anybody's not rocking out with that. Next thing I want to talk about is the Jesus. It's just so hilarious to even say this because it sounds like a child is talking. But Trump stated that he's going to be sending our military members a check for $1,776.
Let's go warrior dividend.
Warrior dividend in response to the founding of the country of 1776.
76, yes.
I mean, it is the ultimate kind of like, are you a child that you would pick that number to get whatever type of response that you think that you were going to get? But the response that most people have given you has been like, what the fuck is this? And we all feel like, our service people, deserve, I don't even know what a service person makes, but they deserve whatever they can get, what comes with being in the military. I ain't holding nobody's gun in the military, so I respect what they do. But Trump's speech was just full of just, like I said, just inaccurate, statements after inaccurate statements. But just in general, he just looked like someone that is no longer ready for the fight. He just
Hmm.
talking, and at this point, nobody is really listening. Oh, go ahead,
Real
Dave.
quick, I did want to add, and I'm trying to find it now. They did do a fact check on this warrior dividend,
Yeah,
and they said that the money is basically congressionally allocated reconciliation funds intended to subsidize housing allowances for service members, meaning that money was theirs anyway. He just moved it from one place to another and made it a check for the service members. Again, hey, I gave you something, but I really took it from over here. It's like a classic shell game.
yeah, nah, absolutely. Absolutely. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the removal of the Barbara Rose John statue. So Barbara Rose Johns was a pivotal person, black woman in the civil rights movement. So she had a statue, and the statue was in the Capitol, on,
Hmm.
on a set of stairs in the Capitol, and the statue was replaced with the statue of Robert E. Lee. Now, if there's just a lot of like bullshit that I feel like more black people need to be calling bullshit, right? I mean, and this is on top of last week, the removal of MLK, the removal of Juneteenth on, as free
Free
days,
days. Yeah.
and then now this week you remove, a civil rights moment and replace it with Robert E. Lee. I mean, it's the definition of really playing in our face, and it's
Hmm.
it's 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 ridiculous that more of our folks do not take this for what it is, and it really is an attack on black people. But
Absolutely.
it's more, it those statues of the Confederate leaders and people and plaques to the Confederacy were that generation's version of trolling.
Yeah.
You're trolling
Yeah.
black people
By having
by
these statues. Yeah.
having these statues, and letting black people know how you stand in this society,
Yeah.
where you have Confederate uh, leaders that are memorialized. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. But to remove a statue that was pivotal in the civil rights movement and replace that with a Confederate general is absolutely kind of ridiculous.
Top tier trolling.
Right, top tier trolling, and for any black person that's conservative or Republican or God forbid MAGA, to accept this as just business as usual. Like, this is just a total attack on black people, and it's absolutely ridiculous and disgusting. In 2025, there should be no Robert E. Lee statues erected anywhere in this country. I mean, the Confederates, they lost the war. Nobody, as far as I know, when you lose a war, you lose all privileges to be able to be memorialized in
No
any
memorialized, right?
but a history book or museum. But in a public place, they were traitors. For those who love the United States, they were traitors. They tried to create a separate government, a separate structure within the United States. The only reason why you would be an American and would have any positive thoughts about the Confederates is because you believe in racism and the subjugation of black people.
Yeah.
It's that simple as that. That's
It's
all I got,
always a
Steve.
lot. It's always a lot. Real quick, things we didn't get to that we may get to next week is the plaques that he had added on the Presidential Wall of Fame. The Trump Hunger Games that's coming in the fall. I don't even know if you saw this.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Also, it was one more thing that we didn't talk about that it was the Hunger Games, the Presidential Wall of Fame plaque. Whatever. That's it. James, where you at?
All right, Reggie, can you close us out with the
With the I'm the opinion you didn't think you needed.
ready to ruin your argument?
I'm here to
Your
ruin your argument.
dumbass argument.
Yes, yes. But as always, I'm Reggie, aka Speed and Bullet. Be 3 exclamation points. If you are not political, then you do not have a perspective.